And now, it's time for the Spirit Campfire, starring Ted Nugent and John Brinkus. It's the show about the physics of spirituality with attitude.
Time for the Spirit Campfire.
John, how are you?
Oh my God. Hold on. Is that how you, that's the best way to say hello?
I think so. That's my salutations and my greetings and my welcome to the ultimate campfire. And John, what is it? Is this number 7?
I think it's number 8. I think 7 or 8.
Keeps track of this stuff. So welcome. Here it is. It's July 9, 2020. Yep. You expect me to believe that we're still rocking our flaming balls off on July 9th, 2020, celebrating truth, logic, common sense, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the American dream. Let's see. I'm really controversial. I'll show you how radical I am, John. I'm celebrating Independence Day every day. I celebrate Veterans Day. I celebrate Thanksgiving every day. I celebrate my birthday every day. Here's a good question to all the people listening to the Spirit Campfire right now. Who the hell's going to stop me? Anybody step up to the plate? I got a crowbar with your name on it. So anyhow, John, what I'm talking about is this campfire. I don't keep track because it's spontaneous,
right?
It's organic. Yep. It's non-scripted. It's a couple of guys, Uncle Ted and Uncle John, sharing truth, logic, and common sense with.
That's right.
Back I get, which by the way, my life feedback. I love feedback. That's why I play Gibson Birdland. Can I get feedback out of this little amplifier?
Let me see. Let me hear it.
Anyhow, the feedback I get, not as beautiful as that, but the feedback I get is that people really love the positive energy, the positive spirit, the celebrating maximum good, not hiding from the bad and the ugly, but identifying the bad and the ugly and using intellect, truth, logic, and common sense, and a we the people independent spirit to maximize the good and crush the bad and the ugly. So here it is, July 9th. We're still celebrating Independence Day. And I want to make this official, John. I'm going to do this until November. This is the Ted Nugent, John Brinkus Spirit Campfire, the physics of spirituality with attitude, brought to you by.
Oh boy, there it is. It was a family show right up to there.
It's brought to you by the hat. This is the battle cry that people absolutely love. And you can get the hat and let your freak flag fly at tednugent.com. But I want to thank everybody because it sounds crazy and intense, which I've made a career out of, but it really represents the American families who believe in God, family, country, being the best that you can be, making sacrifices and taking risks, that like this Spirit Campfire, to be in the asset column. And based on the intellect, the goodwill and decency and the positive spirit I get on Facebook, there's an awful lot of people in the asset column across America. So I thank you for that.
Absolutely. Now, Ted, what's amazing about this Spirit Campfire is for whatever reason, people seem to be surprised at how positive of a show it is. And everyone's just like, oh my God, I had no idea Ted Nugent was such a super positive guy. I don't know over the years who's been out there trying to like pen stuff of like, here's this mean, nasty guy. But one of the things that I've got to be really passionate about is the fact that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for whatever reason, is drinking this poison of saying Ted Nugent isn't a positive influence and positive force in this world. And we all together, what I need everyone to do out there is to knock on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame door, knock it down, barge it down, and say, how dare you have a Hall of Fame without Uncle Ted? That's my opening salvo today.
I like that. We happen to have a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. And believe me, there's most of the people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are absolute wizards and musical forces to reckon with. I mean, it's based on Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis and James Brown and Wilson Pickett and the Motown Funk Brothers, my buddy Bob Seger. I mean, the Stones and the Beatles and the Yardbirds and B.B. King and Freddie King and Albert King and all the foundational musical authorities that bring this incredible, powerful, and very positive soundtrack that could only have come from a culture and a society that has the freedom to express such outrage as Little Richard. So those people that are in the Hall of Fame absolutely deserve it.
Right.
But I happen to know that I sit on a throne of maybe an even more important Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because I'm going to go ahead. Now, that was the good. Here's the bad and the ugly. So Madonna is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, she's a rocker.
Grandmaster Flash.
Come on, she's a rocker. I mean,
So,
what are you talking
my
about?
point is that they've made some really embarrassing, insulting mistakes. But I got to tell you, 2019, the best tour of my life, the most intense, real music lovers. So the positive feedback that I get on Facebook and walking the not so mean streets of America, I'm more than gratified and satisfied. I revere the masters that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I would love to join them someday if anybody sees fit. But until then, do you think I'm going to hunt deer with the bow and arrow any less? Do you think I'm going to rock my balls off any less? Do you think I'm not going to communicate? How about on the Spirit Campfire, Billy Gibbons, Tim Montana, Mitch Ryder, Vic Johnson, and now on July 9th, 2020. By the way, John, before I bring our next guest on, just an absolute Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. This guy is This guy is a musical force to reckon with. But John, as a music guy yourself, what about sharing a campfire and literally spirit to spirit with Billy Gibbons and Mitch Ryder and Tim Montana and Vic Johnson so far? Is that awesome for you?
It's crazy.
For me?
Now, Uncle Ted, I got to ask you, I've sent you some of my recordings. Look, I'm no Ted Nugent, but I can play a little bit.
You play great guitar. You have a great touch. You're in my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Exactly. You and I, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame eyes, we're equals. Neither one of us.
So let me tell you, here it is on the, 7, 8, or 9 Spirit Campfire with Uncle Ted and John.
Right.
And I'm bringing in my buddy. This guy is such a musical authority. This is Rickey Medlocke, mostly known for his unbelievable music in Blackfoot and his unbelievable soulfulness in Lynyrd Skynyrd. Rickey Medlocke, welcome to the Spirit Campfire, you son of a bitch.
How about it, baby? How about it? I got my 2 beautiful ladies here, 2 of my many beautiful women that I sleep with. This here's my 59 Les Paul and my 55 Gold Top.
Well, Rickey, let's talk about that. Number one, thanks for coming on. Rick and I go way back. How many shows do you think Blackfoot and I did together? I mean, dozens, hundreds, what?
Well, I'll tell you what. You took us out in 1979 after the Strikes record was out.
Right.
And we did literally 10 weeks with you. Then,
by the way, tell everybody that there's not, after doing Lynyrd Skynyrd and all the tours, has there ever been an artist that plays every night like I do?
Fuck no, man. And then, not only that, we finished with you, a year goes by, and we're back on the road with you again during the Tomcatting record. We played about 6 or 8 weeks with you again. But the one thing that I've been wanting to tell you for many years and ask you, now here goes. Let's go way back in the database of the brain.
I'm ready.
Okay, are you ready? All right. Do you remember when and where and what the occasion was when you first met me?
Boy, that does go. That's before the tours and before I was really aware of Blackfoot, I think. I think I was just being exposed to that stuff. Was it at Al Nally's Music in Ann Arbor, Michigan?
Nope. Going further on back, brother.
So before 77?
way before.
No. Was it a musical moment? Was there such a thing as Blackfoot when we first met?
Yes, sir.
So you had Blackfoot already going on, and all of you basically started out in Jacksonville, Florida, right?
Jacksonville, Florida. That's right.
So, you know, I've always raved to John that I remember every gig and I remember everything I wore and I remember every song I ever played. But I'm afraid you got me because I don't remember if it was before the tours together. I don't remember where we first met. Where was it?
Okay, I'm going to lay it on you. Here we go. 1969.
69? What was I babysitting you?
Hold on. It was the Miami Pop Festival.
No kidding.
You came, listen to this. I love to tell this story. You came on, you were in white. It was cold. It was cold as a well digger's ass in January.
It was a white fringe suit with a giant polar bear's ass headdress on.
And you came on with the two dangles down here. You went, it's so cold I had to wear my polar bear's asshole, and these are the two balls.
I had a white hat that looked like a polar bear's asshole, and it had two big things hanging from it. So I introduced it as the polar bear. I remember that. That was the Amboy Dukes. I think we just started calling it Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes, and we headlined that show.
I met you. I said hello to you. I introduced myself to you, said what band. You went up on stage. You did your thing. You came off stage and you said goodbye to me like a real gentleman, rock and roll motherfucker, man, right? And you came off, and after that, we had a couple of records that I had joined Skynyrd, then I went back with Blackfoot. And in about 1975, 1976, I did more shows with you.
That is you and I go way back. What year were you born, Ricky?
1950.
Okay, so just 2 years younger than I am. You're going to be 70 this year?
Yeah, I am 70 now.
70 now.
How are you 70?
How about attitude?
Nothing but positive energy. Here's the thing that I want to observe here, and everybody literally is like texting on the box. And remember, to break the Facebook algorithm, you got to hit the heart and hit the thumbs up. Here's my question. Everybody likes to say that Kevin Bacon is like the 6 degrees of separation, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. First of all, Ted, you have played with everyone. Like you are the center of, oh yeah, I played with them. And Ricky, when anybody who knows music knows that the amount of people you've played with, how center of the universe Blackfoot is, right? People that are just so connected to the band. Is there anybody you guys don't know?
You know, I played with B.B. King. I never met Freddie King or Albert King. I jammed with Stevie Ray Vaughan. I've jammed with Brian May. I've jammed with Blood, Sweat, and Tears and the Chambers Brothers and Sly and the Family Stone. I mean, I go way back to that stuff. But I'd be hard pressed to list those. I actually jammed with Stevie Winwood one night. Yep. We did gigs with the Small Faces. We did. I mean, I was there when the Beck band, Jeff Beck with. What's his name?
Yeah.
When they first came to the Grandy Ballroom in Detroit in 1969, 68, 69. So, yeah, there's a bunch I haven't met, but I've met and been able to absorb so much musical spirit, and that's why Rickey Medlocke is on. You know, Ricky, we had Billy Gibbons and Vic Johnson, Tim Montana. We had Mitch Ryder, my God, talking about going way back. But in your lifetime, since you started right after, Ricky and I both started right after Les Paul electrified the damn guitar. And was it the same influences? I mean, Dwayne Eddy and Lonnie Mack and certainly Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry, were those the same powerhouses that you felt that I did when I was growing up?
Well, you know, my grandfather, Shorty, who you met.
Sure, train.
Yes, sir. Well, you know, I was around him all the time with him being in and out of Nashville as a road guy. And there was my big Delta blues, like bluegrass country influence. And so I started picking up the guitar, his old box guitar, when I was like 5 years old, man, and started framming around. He started showing me a few chords, you know, here and there. And to me, I fell in love with the guitar. I got my first electric guitar, you know, when I was about 11, 12 years old. And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, along with yourself, and, you know, all the influences like Hendrix and, you know, all the great guitars, they started coming out. And I would be sitting in my bedroom with a guitar cranked louder than an F-16. You know what I mean? And I would just be just jamming to it. And I remember my granddaddy come in the bedroom one time, and he had a buddy with him, and he says, "This here's my son. He likes to play rock and roll." And that was it. Close the door, never bother me again.
So we both came to age in the vortex when not only was the guitar first electrified, because I mean, what do you like? Les Paul electrified at around 45 or 46, and Chuck started figuring out by 1950 certainly, Chuck and Bo, and then there was the Lonnie Macs and the Duane Eddies and the Ventures. But then all of a sudden, when Chuck established the fiery, literally uncharted territory with the grinding and the bending and the dissonance, I mean.
Yep.
Everybody knows that when you first learn Chuck Berry stuff and you get the I mean, you can't play that noise on any other instrument. And for young people that were, exposed to and beat up by the Frank Sinatras, which is certainly a super soulful guy, but we were looking for what Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, and Little Richard brought to us. And all of a sudden, those of us that were listening, tell us your story, Rickey. Rickey Medlocke from Blackfoot and Lynyrd Skynyrd, and we're going to get to the Lynyrd Skynyrd stuff because it had two different chapters. But when you heard all this outrageous, high energy, pounding, noisy drums and bass, what did that do to a kid who was just entering teen years? I know what it did to me. What did it do to you?
Get this, man. When I was 6, right before I was 7 years old, my grandparents, took me to see Elvis Presley at the Florida Theater.
No kidding.
Yes, for 2 nights. He was there for 2 nights.
Lucky you.
And my granddaddy and grandmother, they raised me. Shorty and his wife raised me. And they knew Mae Axton, who was Hoyt Axton's mama, right?
Wow.
And she went down, her and a guy named Tommy Durden went down the one day that Elvis was there to play him a song. And they showed him the song that they had written. And the next thing you know, Elvis said, "I'll do the song if I can get half ridership to it." Guess what? She gave my old man 3 tickets to the Florida Theater. And I got to see Elvis right before my 7th birthday. And that night we left, and my old man looked at me in the middle between me and, him and my grandma. And he looked at me and said, "Well, son, what did you think of that?" I went, "I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do."
It literally imprinted on us. And now James James Burton was playing a big hollow body guitar. I don't think it was a Birdland, but it might have been a Super 400. But
it was Scotty.
Scotty, that's right, Scott. Yes.
Yep.
And the sound and the use and the position of that guitar in that music was unprecedented. So it wasn't just the Elvis image and attitude and spirit and outrage, and not just the pile driving of that original rock and roll, but it was the sound of that damn guitar. And when it crescendoed, what is a crescendo? It's a guitar solo.
Yes. And here's the cool, I gotta tell you, man, the whole thing about that whole vibe that night was the fact that I got to hear the king when he was really the king.
Hallelujah. Oh,
I mean, he was just, and I still can think about it and still remember it. I mean, thank God I can remember stuff like that. You know what I mean? Do
you realize how fortunate we are to be born, number one, to be born in America, and to be born at that time after the energy in America, the globe revered American freedom, because it was the freedom that is outlined by the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, this unique experiment in self-government that caused our military warriors to fight harder. So the energy level, the celebration of freedom over the evil Japanese and Nazis was so universal and so ubiquitous.
Yes.
I believe that freedom and that victory over universally identified evil, I think that's for Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis. I think that's why they got that upbeat honky tonk. And you and I were right there. Tell us, you talk about Elvis when he was king. Remember, he didn't have anybody to emulate. There was no inspiration for anything he did, except maybe down at the Black Barbecue place in Memphis, where he would go maybe once, or Tupelo, Mississippi, where he would witness the authority of his black heroes. But when you witnessed him as the king, Elvis Presley, because, we talk Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, I got to start inserting the name Elvis Presley because he coalesced, he united an inescapable black musical authority with talking about juxtaposition, this outrageous black musical emotion and soul with basically hillbilly music. What an amazing combination. Tell us what that looked like when Elvis was literally exploding the world with this American soundtrack.
Well, it was you and I've often said this, and I talk about this a lot. You and I were born in the most magical times of the country. That was it. It was the most magical times. We experienced it. We loved it. We still love it because it's still embedded in us, and it's still our spirit that we have brought forward to today. I mean, we have that same spirit.
I've watched Rickey play all these years, John, and I got to tell you, he has this same battle cry as all my musician buddies, and certainly that I have, and that's every gig is the most important gig. Every song is the most important song. Have you ever witnessed Lynyrd Skynyrd live, John?
Have I?
Yeah.
Yes. Like I was born in 71, so I'm not too young. I'm a little bit behind you guys, but here's the thing. Rickey, you're saying that you were born in the most magical time. And this is the honest God truth. Everybody says, everybody thinks that. I think you guys really were, right? I was born in 71. You guys were born a little bit before me. What I keep saying is, somewhere along, call it the late 90s, we kind of lost our musical way a bit. Like, once we started to digitize everything and everything was available all the time, things became so fractured that you didn't have one station that everybody listened to that they were trying to crack through on. So when you had people like Elvis you're talking about, it's hard to be Elvis now because there's not one thing that everyone coalesces around. There are just a bunch of things that people are staying sort of in their little groups. It's just very
but I'll tell you what, I think Ted will agree with this. One of the things that everybody misses, and I bet Ted does. I mean, Ted knows exactly what I'm going to be saying right now. Everything was analog.
Right.
Yes.
There was
a raw, honest representation. When the guitar made a squeal and a dirty noise, you could listen to the first Stones record, and in the song Grown Up Wrong, she was grown up all wrong. You can actually hear Brian Jones turn the volume knob up before the solo came because everything was raw and in your face analog. And Rickey's absolutely correct. You cannot compare any of the sounds today to the pure drums, bass, guitar, the throatiness of the vocals, the crispness of the tambourine, the hi-hat, the snare, the noisiness. You listen to the original Motown stuff and that analog. And here's what that manifested. The musicians loved the music. The engineer loved the music. The producer loved the music. The guy getting coffee loved the music. The guy that owned the studio loved the music. The record store kid loved the music. The guy that owned the record store loved the music. The distributor, the A&R guy, the president of the record company. It was about the damn music.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, hey, we're the monkeys. And all of a sudden it started looking like you know, cookie cutter. Now, there's great bands. I mean, the damn Yankees were in the 90s, and that's a killer, absolute rock and roll band. ZZ Top had their biggest years in the 90s. Aerosmith had their biggest years in the 90s. Van Halen, especially with Sammy Hagar, sold more records than they ever had. So real rock and roll was alive and well. But that was the last of it. I mean, love Dave Grohl, love the Green Day guys, love the Chili Peppers. I love the Black Keys. But compared to Ted Nugent, Blackfoot, and the MC5 and Brownsville Station and Aerosmith and ZZ Top, forget it.
You know, and here's one more thing I got to say to you. You know, when that Strikes record broke, what broke us big time in Florida was you let us on the show at the Tangerine Bowl in Orlando, Florida.
Monster game.
Yes. And my old man, I've got pictures. My old man was the first time he'd come out and appeared with us blowing Train.
Sure.
And it was monster. I mean, it was monstrous. You know?
So, Ricky, tell me, you know, you're a hell raiser, you're a shit kicker, you're a competitive guy, you're a samurai guitar player and bass fisherman, so we have many, many connections there. But so when you first came out, and I was this unleashed, unbridled, insane animal humping shins coast to coast, when you saw how intense our presentation and our stage, because it's not like I thought, oh, I got to be intense. No, the music makes you go berserk.
Yes, it drives you. Yep.
It's the sound and the manifestation physically of what the sound demands. Did you, I mean, I hadn't seen you before you started touring with me, but when you watched our firestorm on stage, did you turn to Blackfoot and go, we always kick ass, but we better really kick ass tonight? Did that ever cross your lips?
Absolutely.
You did. You absolutely stormtrooped that stage.
But I got to tell you, man, it was all about, you're so dead on. It was all about that feel and that vibe and that music. The energy that would go out and the energy that would come back was created between that relationship right there, you know? And every night, man, we couldn't help but try to play balls to the wall and try to outdo ourselves from the night before because the energy level allowed us to. You know what I mean?
You were raised by James Brown and Mick Jagger. And and again, even if there was no James Brown or Mick Jagger, I can't imagine there not being, because their influence is inescapable. But the way Rickey Medlocke plays, the way he creates song, and the way the Blackfoot band delivered this grinding, driving, animal breeding soundtrack, you can't stand there and play that. It's like if there's a storm coming, you can't stand there and pick your nose. You gotta dig into that storm. And I think when I say dig into that storm, the way that you play, the way that your bands have always played, you're like a buffalo. You look for the wind. You look for the storm. You go, which way's the storm? That's where I'm headed.
Right, because you know what's cool? I always said, let's play this thing like we've got the biggest buffalo nuts in the world.
Yeah, buffalo nuts, brother.
You know what I mean? And Ted, having Great White Buffalo, there was the biggest buffalo nuts in the world. You know what I mean?
What a great song. And so not only do we have a musical connection, John, but Ricky's a conservationist. He's an outdoorsman.
Yes, sir.
In fact, let me address that, because I'm always celebrating. I know you've heard me do this a million times, Rickey, but with the intensity with which we attack our music, the work ethic. I'm the only guy who's ever brought up the term work ethic when it comes to killer musicians, but the dedication, the rehearsals, the pain in the ass, the repetition, the finely tuning of the arrangements and the bass and the drums and the guitars and the way everything works together. And then you perform like an absolute animal every night. What role does you getting up and loading up that bass boat and putting your tackle and rods together, what role does the great spirit of the wild, I'm going to go into deeper in a minute, but how badly do you need that nature as healer to keep Rickey Medlocke's music on fire?
Because it keeps me grounded to how I was raised in Florida. The South is getting beat up a whole lot right now.
I hate it. Yeah.
And the thing about it is, I am not going to apologize for being from the South. I'm still proud of the South. And what happens with me is, Ted, I get up in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock. And the next thing you know, as that sun's coming up, I know that there is a large one out there with a mouth about that big around that wants me to catch him. He needs me to catch him. He's begging me to catch him so I can get him mounted on my damn wall and say, I did that.
See, John, I'm not the only crazy son of a bitch out here. There's others like me. In
exactly.
Fact,
well, listen, as you know, I like to fish, and especially spearfish. Ricky, have you gone the spearfishing route, or are you just pure rod and reel?
I'm pure rod and reel.
Okay. All right. That's all right.
Pure
my son,
reel.
so we just came back from Cabo, and my son and I we literally went fishing, and we were going to catch some marlin. We caught 4 8.5-foot marlin within about 5 hours. Wow. And I looked at my son and I said, we're never going fishing again. We're going out on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ricky.
It's like, you know what? So for me to be able to get up every morning or go late in the afternoon and retire to the house after that and think about what I just experienced being on the water, because the water does something to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like the woods does something to you. Yeah. It brings you, it grounds you, it brings you back to what earth and life is all about. We're the spirit of this thing, man. Yeah. I'm a Native American. I'm pretty well much 2/3 to 3/4. And for me, I've got that spirit in me that loves this earth, loves the animals, loves, being on the water. And I'm telling you, it grounds me and lets me take a great big deep breath of air, regain my energy, then go out there and pop the hell out of a guitar. You know what I mean?
John, I want to elaborate on that a little bit, because Ricky and I have the talk about the physics of spirituality. There's the musical dreams and the musical adventure that we share. Probably, I'm going to say, of any guitar player I can think of, and I can think of all of them, I would say that what Ricky and I share on a guitar statement, the way we phrase, the way we invent passages, and the way we bend and beat and cultivate and abuse. I mean, everything you can possibly do as a human being, we do to our guitars. So we have that parallel. And the nature as healer, the outdoor escape in between that musical jihad that we're on every tour. But there's something else. I have always promoted and celebrated in song and in interviews and in my books, in my writings. I write for various sporting publications, and I constantly reference the spirit of the wild, the Aboriginal blood brotherhood, the Native American one with the great spirit and the land. Ricky, as a Native American, first of all, what tribe do you have blood flowing through your veins?
Lakota Cherokee Creek. So
when you first heard Great White Buffalo, were you pissed off that you didn't write it, or what?
You know what? I was really pissed off, buddy. No. You know what? I remember when we first heard it, Jack, our drummer, God bless him, he's passed away now, but you know what? We were standing there. I'll never forget the first time I heard it. We're standing there and we heard you play that because we were on the road with you. And the very first night we were on the road with you, you played it. And we went, what the hell is this?
Yeah, that goes all the way back to the Amboy Dukes. But like I've said before, because I think I am in touch with the spirit world, I think I may not have official Native American blood flowing through my veins, but my relationship with that people is so sincere and so natural that when I unleash that lick, I mean, I'm just tuning up my guitar that day, and I go... And I didn't know what I was doing. We had never played the lick. I told him to record it, and I just started screaming, "Listen, everybody, to what I got to say. There's hope for tomorrow if we wake up today. It happened long ago in the new magic land. The Indian and the buffalo existed hand in hand. They needed food and skins for a roof, but they only took what they needed. Millions of buffalo were the proof. Then came the white dogs with their thick and empty head, couldn't see past their billfold, wanted all the buffalo dead. So the Indians hid in fear. There were no buffalo to be found. The spirit seemed to be missing. It looked like a damn burial ground. But above the canyon walls, strong eyes did glow. It was the leader of the land. It was the great white buffalo, and he found the battered herd, and he led them across the land. With the great white buffalo, we're going to make a final stand. So listen, everybody, to what I got to say. There's hope for tomorrow if we wake up today. It's July 9, 2020. Those lyrics are more pertinent today than ever. So
major.
Where do you think that is the Lakota, the Sioux, the Apache, the Assiniboine, the Gros Ventre? That's their white buffalo legend. And I didn't know it, but the words just came.
Yes. I mean, Ted, you know what, man? I look at what's going on right now and with all people, and I'm not excluding anybody. But I look at it right now, you know, the natives, man, they've been hit so hard by this COVID-19 thing.
Yes.
I mean, just literally trashed. You know what I mean? And my heart goes out to all that stuff, man, because it's like, okay, one more time, you know, we're going to take an ass whooping from something that we didn't ask for. Yeah. All of us.
Yeah.
You didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. And we're still getting an ass whipping for this thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? So my spirit tells me, rise up, be strong with it, keep moving forward. Don't move backwards. Keep moving forward, and it's going to be a better day.
That's my Rickey Medlocke, John.
Exactly. Here's my question. You guys are, look, you both are just living legends, right? You guys, you're still going strong, but I'm allowed to say you're a living legend, genuinely. What I'm hearing here a lot of is how in touch you are with the spirit. However you all want to define that, right? However you relate to the universe, you guys define the spirit and you're in touch with it, right? Your recreation is in touch with the outdoor and the nature, and your music is very analog. What I find interesting is when you guys talk about the era that you came up in and how it was the best time, you kind of have seen it all, especially given what's happened in the last 6 months here. You guys have kind of seen it all. And you guys are the kind of people I think our audience can look at and say, you know what? I bet we're all going to be okay. I bet we're going to make it, because for whatever reason, we as humans, we as Americans, something comes our way, you have to overcome it, you persevere, and you guys have persevered over everything, and time isn't slowing you down. And it feels like there's a lot of hope when we're in touch with the true spirit.
Well, I think Ted will agree. I think this, looking at me and Ted as two strong SOBs, we're not going to have it any other way.
Right.
We're not going to have it any other way. We know that it's going to be all right, because we're going to be out there and try our damnedest to help make it all right.
Yeah. I want everybody to know that Rickey and I have not spoke. I called him last week or a little over a week ago. I said, I got this killer spirit campfire. Would you come on? Let's talk about our musical dreams. I didn't discuss anything with him, but what you heard Rickey Medlocke just say was near verbatim about being strong, rising above, and move forward. He just used the words that I think I've probably repeated on every spirit campfire since. And we didn't need to share that. Right. It's an instinctual, especially guys that both, I'd like to think our guitar playing is like welding on a big bridge or a dam, because the sparks are flying, you get really stinky and sweaty and a lot of noise, and the girls love it. And so when we're done with our guitar welding outrage, that spirit, that's really what the outdoors is. There's a spirit to the outdoors. But what Rickey Medlocke just said is attributable and should be paid very close attention to everybody who's watching us now on the Spirit Campfire, because you can get really pessimistic at this time because the forces are just as ugly can be. So what my blood brother Rickey Medlocke said, we will get through this. I think the battle cry is, when in doubt, whip it out. I got
Whip it out.
Easy.
I got me a rock and roll band because it's a free for all.
So that's that positive spirit that we celebrate here every week, John. And Rickey Medlocke is one of those guys that is the biggest animal when it comes to rock and roll. But you can tell that he's got his brain and his spirit, his mind, and his body, soul on a true North Compass setting. So I got to tell you, Rickey, I've always considered ourselves friends, but there is a term, blood brother.
Yes,
and I
sir.
consider us American blood brothers, man.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we should meet sometime, put a slice across the hand right there, let it bleed out, slap hands, and we're going about our business.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll come down to Florida. I'll gut you. And
Come on.
Easy.
You gut me, I'll take one of them guts and I'll throw it out there and catch a big ass fish.
That's awesome.
he'll
That's a
gut
good
me
point.
and use my entrails for shark bait. But anyhow, Rickey, now I want to get into the next chapter. We talk about Blackfoot. I mean, we play Train of the PA. We play American Band by Grand Funk. We play Train. We play Fire by Jimi Hendrix. And then we play, boy, those are four of my favorite songs, I got to tell you.
Son.
And we play Street Fighting Man. So now you're Blackfooting. Did you have a stint with Lynyrd Skynyrd prior to Blackfoot or in the middle of Blackfoot?
What happened is in 1969, we had moved up to New York City to the East Village when the East Village was really jumping at the time, you know. You could see anybody and everybody there. And then we moved out to New Jersey, and I kind of got disheartened with internally what was happening. So I called Alan Collins, and I said, "Hey, Alan," I said, "I am unhappy with my situation. You guys need anybody to drive a truck, load the equipment, set up the equipment, whatever." And he said, "You know what? You need to give Ronnie a call." So I called Ronnie Van Zant and said to him, "Hey, I need a gig. I'm unhappy in my situation. You guys need somebody to set the gear up or tune the guitars or whatever." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "Do you still play drums?" And I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Well, you were always a good drummer when we used to see you guys, you know, when you had your other band." And my other band that he was talking about was called Fresh Garbage, right? Named
after the Spirit song, after Randy California Spirit, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, "Yeah, I still play." He said, "Man, we always liked the way you played drums. You had a great pocket and a good feel, you know?" And he said, "We're getting ready to go into Muscle Shoals, Alabama in 2 weeks and start cutting our first record." I said, "Count me in." So I sold off a couple of amps, kept my guitars. They sent me a plane ticket. I flew in. And that night I was sitting in rehearsal, rehearsing what would later become Lynyrd Skynyrd's first and last record that happened after the plane crash.
No kidding.
Yes, they put it out. But here's the deal. I had already cut some of the material that appeared on the Pronounced record, their very first one. So I had already gone back with Blackfoot. Here's what happened. I knew that they needed probably somebody stronger than I am on drums, because my stamina for the drums, because I only have one lung and a respiratory illness, that you need a lot of oxygen to play drums. Now, I need a lot of oxygen to play guitar moving around the stage, so it kind of give way to being able to do what I wanted to do, play guitar. So I said to Ronnie, I said, "I need for you guys to do that. I need to go off and I need to play guitar again and sing." And he understood that. He said, "Rickey, I totally understand that. And you know what? I'm going to give kudos to Ronnie and Alan and Gary, Billy, Leon. I've often said, man, it was one of the greatest experiences and some of the best musicians, that I ever shared the stage with." and played in the band with, along with Jack and Greg and Charlie, and appeared on stage with yourself and stuff. But I went back to Blackfoot, and we picked up in late 73, no, 74, early 74, and started again. And that's how it all began. And then in 1995, I got invited to Atlanta, Georgia for Freebird, the movie premiere. And there was a jam session the night before. I got on stage, hadn't seen the guys in a while. I got on stage and jammed with the guys. Their manager was there. My manager, Al, was there. And unbeknown to me, Gary had talked for several years about calling me and getting me back in the band. So that night they were able to see me. And so here's the way it went. I had a phone call in March of 96. And the phone call, I still got the little tape that you put in answering machines. The phone call said, "Hey, Rickey, it's Brother Gary. I want you to learn I Ain't the One, Saturday Night Special, That Smell, Freebird, learn all of Alan's stuff because you're the closest thing to Alan that I could probably ever hope to get. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to audition you. And if you pass the audition, I'll put you back in the band and give you $1.50 and a Snickers bar."
Boy, that's the Gary Rosenthal I know.
No,
perfect. And so you've been back with them on all their tours and everything since 96?
I've been back with the guys going on 25 years now. Yeah, man.
Wow.
Awesome, man.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Ted,
man.
Ted, you've been bringing some serious guests to the table, and dare I say, you keep outdoing yourself. Just in one way or another, you're like, look, I'm just going to pick up the phone. I'm going to text somebody. I'm going to bring my friends on. We're going to sit around a campfire. It's amazing. Rickey, I can't thank you enough for taking time.
Well, look here.
It's been amazing.
My cup, I salute Ted Nugent with a Michigan Verner's ginger ale.
Wow.
Detroit, Michigan. Rickey, God bless you and everybody down there, man. We have a condo down there in Naples. When we come down this winter, I'll warn you ahead of time. Maybe we'll go snag a slabber and go get some chow or something. But thanks for being my friend all these years. On behalf of all the real music lovers on planet Earth, with all sincerity, thank you for your soundtrack that has enriched our lives and gave us such a spirit, such a piss and vinegar attitude. Your music, it delivers a soulfulness and an American defiant, celebratory authority that is unique to guys with your talents and your spirit and your work ethic. So thanks for sharing our spirit campfire here, man.
Ted, listen, my hat's off to you. I'm behind you 110%. All right? You be well and be safe. And you know what? Count on me. If you ever need me, give me a shout.
I know that. And I know that in every way you mean it. Thank you very much.
Every way. Have done, will travel.
Yes, Paladin.
Thank you, Rickey.
Yes, Rickey Paladin Medlocke. Rickey, Godspeed, man. Thanks so much.
Later, brother.
Thank you. So Ted,
I'm telling you, John.
I don't know, man. This is, look, when we started this thing off, we said it's going to be a couple dudes sitting around the campfire having fun with our friends, just spreading positive energy. The audience is going nuts. Every guest gets better and better. The insight that, look, I feel like almost guilty because I have such a great seat to just rock and roll history and inside Ted Nugent's life. I feel like I'm just like listening to such scholars of the spirit and scholars who have influenced so many people who then influence so many people. I'm honestly just so blessed to be here.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we are the professors of piss and vinegar. And you'll notice that, so I'm going to remember now, Billy Gibbons, Tim Montana, and then Mitch Ryder and Vic Johnson, and now Rickey Medlocke. I just want you to know that I'm talking with my buddy Jack Blades from the Damn Yankees, Tommy Shaw from the Damn Yankees, Michael Cardelloni from the Damn Yankees, and Lynyrd Skynyrd. I'm talking to Governor Sarah Palin, Governor Rick Perry, and Governor Huckabee. I'm talking to Derek St. Holmes and the Brownsville station smoking in the boys' room maniac Michael Lutz. I'm talking to a whole bunch of killer friends, and musicians that will keep the Spirit Campfire absolutely roaring. So yeah, this is a great opportunity because I know you feel that spirit. You know, there's this historical mystery about backstage. Ooh, I went backstage. Well, backstage is stupid. This is cool. Yeah. You have what backstagers wish they could experience, and I'm glad to share it with you, man.
Dude, it's amazing. I mean, look, positive energy begets positive energy, and that's certainly the principle that we practice around the Spirit Campfire for sure. You know, the thousands and thousands. You know, when we wrap up a show, we'll have hundreds of thousands of people who will have seen this in just a couple of hours. It's amazing how engaged everyone is, and I honestly believe because of all the comments on Facebook, everyone is saying it's because we're being positive. And it's not like we're going out of our way. We're just, you're being you, I'm being me, Rickey's being himself, and Tim's being himself, and like everybody's being themselves sitting around the campfire. I want everybody to just listen, just do this for me. Do this for Uncle Ted. Spread the word. Spread the word that, look, we're all sitting around a campfire having a positive exchange, keeping everything very light, keeping everything very real, and we're in touch with that spirit. And Ted, I want you to leave us with a little bit of that tribal nature, that little bit of, look, you're in touch with Mother Earth, you're in touch with the spirit. Let us hear and feel that.
A little musically?
Yes.
I think I can do it.
Wow.
That's a little
all right.
variations of what I call earth tones. Well, John, thanks once again. I'm glad we were able to do this in the middle of the day like this. We'll be back on today's
Tuesday.
Thursday, so we'll be back on Monday. I think we got Jack Blades coming up.
Oh, Monday, you're right.
Yeah, we'll be back on Monday. And I want to thank everybody. And I'm going to address a bunch of questions that people have responded watching the Spirit Campfire for the last few weeks. People are always going, it'd be my dream to go hunting with Uncle Ted. Well, for the last 30 some years, I've created a Ted Nugent Sunrise Safaris. And right now, I think most of our hunts are sold out this year, but this is our Spirit electronic campfire, but we book hunters from all over the country. In fact, people come from Scotland and Ireland to share a campfire with me because I'm such a fun guy. And a lot of them have never hunted. They haven't had an outdoor lifestyle. So if you really are interested in going hunting with me or learning about hunting, we get a lot of newcomers where I teach them the basics of archery, safe gun handling, marksmanship, the spirit of the wild. And if you're really interested in that, you go to my website and I think there's a Sunrise Safaris a post that you can hit. But we do, and I got to tell you, John, we get people from every imaginable walk of life, and they come to our Michigan hunts and our Texas hunts. And I play guitar at the campfire, and we take questions, and we talk politics, we talk life, we talk the American dream, we talk ballistics, we talk how we got here, the history of America, and how proud we are of being the last best place in the world. So if you're interested in seriously sharing a campfire with me on a hunting trip, we book a number of them here in Texas on our private ranch where we live, and also throughout the swamps and forests of Michigan. And John, you got to come.
I am coming. Look, I already have my ticket.
You got to meet these people that come and have a campfire with Uncle Ted. I'm telling you, if ever watching the news and the arson and the hate and the dishonesty and the corruption, we're aware of this. We keep this a positive campfire because there's so much ugliness out there. We need to be aware of it. And by being as positive as possible, we can chip away at all that negativity. But John, the people, and I've said for 30 years, I think we have over 100 in Michigan on a number of weekends. I have something like 24 here in Texas. The people that come and share a campfire with me and go hunting and fishing, we do some archery and some marksmanship. We have a great time, a lot of campfire time. If ever you were inclined to be tainted by all the negativity, pick any Ted Nugent campfire you want to attend, and you have the most loving, giving, generous, intelligent, caring, connected, hardworking family people that you'd think that the world was perfect. So not only do I invite you to come and witness and share that, but I want to thank everybody. There's a bunch of people out there, thousands that have gone hunting with me and shared a campfire over the year. I hope I'm identifying you accurately, because it's the best people that ever walked the earth, and it'll give you such confidence in your fellow man.
All right. Well, listen, here's what I look forward to. I am coming down to Texas. I'm going to be with Uncle Ted. I'm going to be with all of the Ted Nugent friends, because you said if you want to have a good time, hang out with me. We're going to do the Spirit Campfire around the campfire. We're going to do it from actually at the ranch, around the campfire. Until then, we have to wrap up this episode. We're going to be back on Monday, and we will see you then. Ted, why don't you take us out?
I will, because every day is Independence Day. Freedom!
God bless everyone.
Live it up, John. God bless America.